Hey, welcome to a new podcast today, Men Are Forged. I got Edwin Carrion here, excited, coming from the beaches of Miami. Edwin, you find him at edwin.com. This guy's got an amazing story, been all around the world, doing a lot of amazing things. But Edwin, great to have you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me here today. Hello to everyone. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, absolutely. So Edwin, give me just a little update about what you're doing. I love just kind of first off, just introduce my audience. What's something, I know you got some, your wife and two daughters down in Miami. What's something fun y'all been doing this spring?
Something fun. Well, I just finished coming back from a daddy-daughter weekend. So it was amazing to go down to North Florida, pretty much close to Orlando. We took the RV down and just spent, 3 beautiful days with my daughters and just spent some quality time myself. It wasn't, my wife wasn't there, so I was able to connect with my girls and it was fun. My daughters are 8 years old and 9 years old. And it's nice to just be able to kind of connect with them and talk to them. And it's so amazing to know that as a parent, when you talk to your kids and you talk to them like they're adults, like they're people, like you acknowledge them, they'll just open up and they tell you things that you didn't expect for them to tell you. So to me, that was like one of the breakthrough moments of my time up there with them.
That's powerful, man. Those girls will probably remember that the rest of their lives too.
Yes. Always building memories, always creating memories.
That's cool. Well, yeah. So speaking of that, Edwin, just give us, one of the things I like to really start with of like early influences, really what shaped your thinking and mindsets. But, what was an early childhood memory for you? What was one of the fondest things? Because I know you didn't come to the States until you were 12. So yeah, give us a little bit of that. So
I have quite a few good childhood memories. One of my most fun memories when I was a child was during the summers. I used to go to my uncle's farm, and that farm, we were just kids. Farms, over 1,000-acre farm, all kinds of animals, domesticated, non-domesticated animals. You name it, we had it: pigs, goats, guinea pigs, chickens, cows, horses. I mean, all kinds of animals were there. And the fun memory that I like, that we used to ride the sheeps. So my uncle used to put us on top of the sheep and we hold on really tight and they just take off running. And we're like, hold on for a dear life. And then, so those things were fun memories. Another good fun memory I always tell people is like, when you're a kid, you have no fear. And I remember we used to go up in the mountain and we had to, with the safety pin, we'll grab these big frogs, red frogs, green frogs, and just hang them on our chest with safety pins. Like it was like a trophy or something like that. That we put them there, with like a pendant. And then now that I'm an adult, I'm like, what about if they were poisonous? Like we didn't know that. Were they really poisonous? The green frog, the red frog, was a really poisonous frog?
Wow.
I guess we had no fear. So as kids, we had no fears, and that's one of the things that I try to teach people, and I try to tell people to live life without fear. Because when you're a kid, you have no fear. When you become an adult, we start fearing so many things that we stop achieving our dreams and living our dreams. But if we live as we were once we were kids, our life will be so much better.
Yeah, that childlike mindset is so powerful to take in adulthood, right? Somehow we leave that behind, but there's something so powerful to it, that mindset. So yeah, I mean, kind of that's off my next question is, where did you learn to steward that childlike mindset? Was there a parent? Was there an adult in your life? You talked about your uncle putting you on the sheep, that you really kept that mentality into the next phase of your life.
Yes. Hey, where did I do that? I decided to do that after I went bankrupt in 2007. Again, I was living life like I thought I was invincible. I thought I was never going to go bankrupt. I thought I was going to keep making millions. And then the market just completely crashed. And then I realized that a lot of us, and especially me at that time, in order to achieve the success that I had there back then, all I was doing was just working, and I was focused on chasing the money. I was focused on chasing becoming a millionaire. And I wasn't really, I put away the things that were important in my life, the things that, my health, my relationships, my family, my friendships. I put all that aside because I was just focused into being successful, because I always wanted to be a millionaire. Growing up from a single mom, growing up not being, on a middle to lower class environment, and being surrounded by people that had so much more than me, I always wanted to be rich. I always wanted to have money. I always wanted to be millionaire. And I even kind of put my faith away, put God on the side,
Oh,
just
wow.
to try to accomplish that dream. And again, once I made it, and I lost it all, I realized that, wow, that was not important in my life. I need to go back and live life to the fullest, which is
Mm,
living a YOLO life. You only live once, so you have to take advantage of every opportunity.
mm,
So like that, if I was to, if something were to happen to me today and I'm lying down in my deathbed, I'm gonna look at my life and say, wow, what an amazing life I had. I don't regret anything. I did this, and this,
mm.
versus saying I should have done this, I could have done that. And that's how my life is nowadays. And that's what I try to teach people and steer people towards living life to the fullest.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, one of your taglines that really stood out on your website is God made millionaire. Just
Yes.
giving credit where credit is due, right? That's so powerful that, yeah, I mean, too many people love to reduce their life to what they can do and what they can control versus the expansion of what God could do in their life. And so that's really cool. Just that testament you have to him. But, but really my next question, I'm really curious because you do have such of that evident on your website is your time in the U.S. Marine Corps, and what got you into that, and what was that experience like?
Okay. Um, it got a couple of things that got me into the Marines.
Yeah.
Number one, I always wanted to be a military guy. I love men in uniform, and not that I love men, but I love like the look that we have when you're in uniform. And I wanted to become one of those. Again, as a kid, you see certain people that you admire and you want to become with. And I wanted to become a jet fighter pilot. I
Mm,
wanted to serve my country after living in the United States. I wanted to give back to this country that has given me so much.
mm,
But the other thing too, and that's where when I decided to change the name of self-made millionaire to God-made millionaire, was because at a young age, I started hanging around with the wrong crowd, and I
mhm.
got arrested at the age of 18 years old.
Oh, wow.
And when I came home that night, the first thing that I did was I got down on my knees and I prayed and I said, God, please forgive me. I will never do this again. I'm going to try to be the best person that I can. And I just made him all these promises, and I felt God touch me that day. I get goosebumps every time I hear that. So
That's
it
awesome.
makes me emotional. But that's the time that I could tell you that I felt God in my life,
Mhm.
that He really touched me, that He was there with me. And since that moment, I changed. And because of me getting arrested and that happening, that's when I decided, I need to change my life for the better. I need to go to the military. I need to go to the Marines. I need to go to the military. And the reason I ended up going to the Marines was because I did not get accepted to go into the Air Force Academy
Mm,
because my grades were horrible during high school, middle school. I was a C average student. I always thought I wasn't smart enough. So I did not get accepted into the Air Force Academy. So I'm like, you know what? If I can't go to the Air Force Academy, and the recruiters told me, just go in as enlisted and eventually you can move up. I'm like, no, I'm just going to go to the best branch of all, which is the Marines. So I decided to go into the Marine Corps because of
yeah.
that. But prior to me going to the Marines, and right after my arrest, I started working for an attorney to become a
Mm,
paralegal. I started going to college to become an attorney because I really wanted to become an attorney.
mhm.
And I had my DJ company going and it was doing very well. So a year passes by and the recruiter comes and tells me, Edwin, you have to go to the Marines now. I'm like, no, I'm not going to go. My life has changed. I'm doing good. I don't want to go anymore. And then he's like, you're going to get a dishonorable discharge if you don't go. Needless to say, that was not true, but he convinced me. So I dropped everything that I was doing and I went into the Marine Corps. I joined the Marines
Mm,
and I had such an amazing experience. God protected me. He gave me the best of everything. So I got to go to Japan as my first duty station. I
mhm.
was in Japan in another country because I knew I was going to live for the rest of my life in the United States. So I was living in another country. I got to go to Korea. I got to go on a deployment on a battleship, which I
Mhm.
always called that my first cruise ship. And from there, I got recommended to do one of the jobs that only the top 10% of the Marines get to do, which is guarding the American embassies around the world. So I
Yeah.
got to travel to Russia. I was in Moscow, Russia for a year. From there, I went
Mm,
to Chile, Santiago, Chile for a year and a half. And from there, I got to travel to other embassies and work in other embassies throughout the world.
Mhm.
So my career in the Marine Corps, it was an amazing career. It was a great career. I was really not in the military, but I was with only like the top 10% of the Marines. But at the
Yeah.
same time, I was working with like all these government officials, federal government, CIA, DEA, FBI,
Oh, wow.
Department of State. And it was so amazing to be surrounded by that, that when
Mhm.
my time came up, I knew I had to move on. And there was a lot of other things for me after the Marine Corps.
Right, absolutely. Of just all the places that you were stationed, all the embassies you guarded, where is there one place that stuck out to you that was most memorable or crazy or whatever? Is a story or something there?
I mean, they were all nice and they all have good memories, but the
Mhm.
one that I valued the most was the one in Moscow, Russia,
Yeah.
for a bunch of things. Number one,
Mhm.
there was 30 Marines in the embassy at that time, so it was like one of the largest detachments in the embassies. Normally, my second post after that, there were only 5 Marines. So
Oh, wow.
having that big group of Marines, it was nice because every time we'll go out, we'll go out 10 deep, 10,
Yeah.
a group of 10 guys going out, hanging out,
Uh-huh.
doing crazy things. So that was number one. Number two, I was there for the grand opening of the most expensive embassy in the world, and the one
Yeah.
that took the longest to build, which
Mm.
was the American Embassy in Moscow. Because after they finished building it the first time, they had to dismantle it completely because it was full of bugs, full of bugs because of the spies in Moscow. So they had to completely cover it up, bring American personnel with the top secret clearances, and those are the contractors that built the embassy. And it was covered up for like almost 10 years. So I
Mhm.
was there for the grand opening of that. And
Oh,
the other
wow.
cool thing from there that I was able to meet the President Bill Clinton,
Mm.
Secretary of Defense, Secretary of State. We got to meet with all those dignitaries, and with President Bill Clinton, he took us running to the Gorky Park in Moscow. So we were running and we were surrounded by the Secret Service protecting us. So it was such an amazing
Wow.
experience.
That is so cool. And I imagine you have a unique perspective of what's going on now over in Ukraine,
Yes.
because you've been there. I mean, I don't want to spend a whole podcast on that, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Yeah.
Um, you know, eh, eh, I'm all against war. I'm more of a lover than a fighter,
Yeah.
and I just pray and I hope the best for that to finish as soon as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great. All right. So, I mean, it sounds like before you got in the Marines, you already had an entrepreneur brain where you're constant like got your hands in different things and want to start and therefore and then you said like you got excited, you love the Marines, but you're excited to get out and start your new stuff. So what really propelled you? What was the next thing that you did in your life after the Marines?
Well, like I mentioned, being in the Marine Corps, it opened up my eyes to so much, especially traveling and being in the embassies and being
Yeah.
surrounded by the federal government. One of the things that I wanted to do was either, become a CIA agent or become an FBI agent. But I knew in order to do that, I needed to get a college degree. And my time in the Marine Corps, I was not able to finish school, even
Hmm.
though I tried as much because it's hard when you're there. You have to learn, you have to work, you have to do a lot of things. So there's a lot of responsibilities that you have.
Yeah.
So I was not able to finish my college degree while I was in the Marine Corps. So once I finished the Marine Corps, I was talking to my mother and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm thinking about doing this, I'm thinking about doing that. And she comes to me, just like, become a real estate developer. And I'm like, what is that? Like, I had no idea what a real estate developer was, or,
Yeah.
where to start. And at that time, we didn't have all this technology that we have now, which is, you could Google, you could go to Facebook, Instagram, and figure out what that is, or find all these great mentors that you have access to nowadays, and follow all these amazing people that you can. So I ended up finding a nonprofit organization named SCORE, and I had a mentor through there, a free mentor through there, and it was like the worst mentor I could have had. He was like so negative and like, "Are you sure
Uh,
you want to become a developer? Be careful with this. Be careful with that. Maybe you should do this first, and then come back a few years later to that." And it was like the most negative person that I could have found. So then that day, I'm like, you know what? When I become successful, I'm going to become a mentor, but I'm going to teach people the right way. I'm going to help them. I'm going to empower them. I'm going to make sure that they live their full potential, because this guy was just like the wrong person to be a mentor.
hmm.
And left the Marine Corps. We didn't have any money. I was in debt. My mother put a line of credit out of her house and she let me borrow $100,000. And that's how I got started into real estate development. And the good thing is that I'm sure you heard this before, that if you're at the right place at the right time, you could become successful, or there's opportunities, right?
Hmm.
But I think in life, you have to be the right person at the right place at the right time for that to happen.
Hmm.
And that's exactly what happened to me. I got out in 2002, and that's when the real estate market started booming.
Boom.
So I
Yeah.
started real estate development, and I followed that trend that those $100,000 that I borrow, I made them until over $20 million worth of real estate projects
Hmm.
in a matter of like less than 5 years.
Right.
And I was successful uh,
But
financially.
hold on, before
Everything
I know
else.
you're going, but please tell you set up your mom though, right? You got her a nice house after that.
Yes, I actually, now that you mentioned that, yes, I even built her own house the way she wanted to, but I told her this is the first time and the last time that I ever built for you.
Yeah.
Because I mean, normally once I got to the point of that I built so many houses, I was able to build a house between 6 to 8 months.
Hmm.
Her house took me like almost 2 years to build. We had to change, she wanted the kitchen one way one day, and the next day it changed completely. Then we had to take a wall down that she didn't like and then put it back again later on. It was like completely chaos. But yes, I got to build her dream house as well. So
That's great.
that was a good thing.
Yeah, which is great to have just a mom or just even family friends who believe in you so much that they're willing to do something like that, which is so cool.
Yes.
Just to
Yes.
have great people around you. But yeah, so continue your story. So I mean, you like you said, you came in the right time, but anybody who knows any kind of recent history, what was coming in 2007, 2008? Yeah.
Yeah. The real estate bubble burst, right? But
Yeah.
again, I keep hearing it. My mom told me, it's like, be careful. I thought I was invincible. I'm like, no, this is not gonna happen. I keep growing, and sure enough, 2007 came around. All the banks start funding, and I didn't have any more cash flow, so I had to go bankrupt. And to me, that was the best thing that could ever happen to me, the going
Oh,
bankrupt
wow.
part at that time, because I wasn't ready mentally to be into all that money. I wasn't ready mentally
Hmm.
to handle all of that. And that's why I lost everything, because I needed to realize that I needed to always be humble, to continue being the humble person that I am. I needed to have God in my life more present. I needed to have that relationship with God. And I needed to take care of the people that helped me get to the top that way.
Mm.
And helping on a better way, not only helping financially, but actually acknowledging and being more human to everyone. And I
Yeah.
think we lose sight of that at a certain point of time. And it completely changed the way that I did things. And then at the same time, again, I learned not to be over leveraged.
Mm.
And within a couple of years, I started a jewelry business, a jewelry company.
Hmm.
A good friend of mine from the Marines comes to me. He tells me about the gold buying business. He asked me if I have money, that he has a great business opportunity, if I wanted to hear it. I'm like, I didn't have any money. I was broke. So I told him, yeah, I have some money. Let me hear the opportunity. I wasn't going to pass up on it, right?
Yeah.
So he told me the gold buying business. I thought it was an amazing business model.
Hmm.
And I raised $300,000 worth of capital in less than a month. And we started Countrywide Gold Buyers.
Hmm.
And that company grew from $300,000 worth of debt to over $50 million worth of revenues in just 2 years. We had 14 stores throughout the United States. We created a franchise model.
Oh, wow.
And I was able to sell and exit the company in 2014.
Dang. Wow. That's awesome. So what's really cool about your story, Edwin, is like, I'm finding this with most really great men who are successful in their business is they had a humbling moment that they awakened this thing where they needed like their success can't outgrow their character.
Right.
And that sounds like that's what happened to you in that moment of really like you needed that humbling moment to really
Yes.
find yourself. And
Yes, definitely.
yeah, so I'm just kind of curious, what were some of the bigger lessons you learned amidst that failure that led to your success now?
Bigger lessons is, number one, don't become over leverage.
Yeah,
Number
that's one.
two,
That's a good one.
I think the number two, and I would say maybe this is the number one that I tell everyone,
Mhm.
that if you were to fail today because you were trying something and you were to lose everything, you're going to get back up to where you were at before in no time. because your mindset is already set for that level of success.
Yeah.
So, and that's why nowadays I'm not afraid. I don't have the fear of losing everything because I know I could get back to wherever I was in no time.
Wow.
I know I could start a new company and take it to that level right away because I have that already, that experience of what I need to do to take that company to that level. And I always tell the people that I mentor and that I teach, I tell them, if I was to take everything away from you right now, if you're making $100,000 a year, if I take all of that away from you, in no time, you're going to be back to the same level because that's their mindset. Their mindset is set for that.
Yeah. And where did that mindset come from for you? Do you remember, you know, where that came from? Was that something you feel like you were born with, or that was developed, or yeah?
The mindset is developed. And again, you know, we grow, as we grow up, we start having a lot of limiting beliefs, especially depends on what, you know, what kind of family you're born into. If you're born into a family that is a low income family, they're going to put a lot of limiting beliefs in your mind. It means limiting beliefs like, you know, money doesn't grow on trees, or you can never be successful, or no, you can't start a business without any money. And those are all limiting beliefs that they start putting in your mind. So, you know, the mindset has to be trained. And to me, the mindset was trained at a very early age. That number one, and subconsciously, I trained my mind to that because since I was a little kid, I always wanted to have a Lamborghini. To me, a Lamborghini was my dream car, has always been my dream car. And I remember when I was 12, 13 years old, I had a little telephone, a red telephone with a Lamborghini Countach. And I always said, one day I'm going to have this car. One day I'm going to have this car. So I was ingraining subconsciously in my head that I was going to have the car, that no matter what, I was going to have the car. And sure enough, you know, I was able to have not one, but two Lamborghinis. I have owned two Lamborghinis now, but that's when the mindset started. And the mindset continued training when I was in the Marine Corps. Because once you become a Marine, they give you all this sense of pride that nobody could ever take away from you, where you're invincible. You're like the best person that you could be. You know, you live with honor, courage, commitment. You know, those are your core values. So we get input all these amazing core values into our lives that, again, nobody could take those away from you. And then at the same time, then you have the faith. You know, God, you believe in God. I have my belief in God. You could have your belief in the higher power, on energy, in yourself. But as long as we have that belief, there's nothing that could take that away from us. And with time, you know, finding the right mentors, finding the right people. I always tell everyone, you know, I'm being fortunate enough to be married for 11 years. It hasn't been an easy road because marriage, living with somebody else is hard. It's not easy at all. But I follow people that I see as role models. I follow my friends that they have been married for 30 years, 20 years, 15 years. So to me, those are my role models. Because if I start following a bunch of people that are single, partying, going out all the time, my marriage wouldn't be the same way that it is right now.
Yeah.
So that's mindset. And always waking up, thinking positive, figuring out. And it's not about being positive, because positiveness dies out at some point of time. And it's okay to have those downtimes. But what really matters is how you see yourself, how you believe in yourself, how you portray yourself, and always thinking that you could make it, that you have a lot more to give to anybody, and you have a lot more to give to yourself.
Wow, that's really good. Man, Edwin, there was a lot of gold you just said right there. That was really good. I'm gonna have to listen to that again and make a list because that was so good. So yeah, I mean, you came out of the housing bubble, created a jewelry business that blew up, and then you sold in 2014. So what was there some level? I know that, like, so that did that lead to what you're doing now, that you wanted to then give back to help people do what you just did? Yeah. So give me kind of this post 2014.
Yes and no. So I'll run down through my career really fast, and then I get back to what you said. So the company in 2014. I retired at that time. To me, I call it my first retirement at the age of 33. And then started back into real estate development, because I always loved real estate development, got back into real estate development. And I started back where I left in when I went bankrupt, meaning I started building high-end luxury homes. 2017, I talked about values a lot, because to me, values are very important. And the only people that I work with nowadays is people that share my same values and are aligned with my values. So I realized that my business partners did not share the same values, such as family, faith, and we were going the wrong direction. So I decided to step away, and I sold my share of the company to them. So in 2017, I exited my second company, and it was a good exit. And then I told my wife, I'm going to be a stay-home dad, and she's like, okay, if you're going to be a stay-home dad, you got to pick up the kids, do the laundry, do this. Do that. I'm like, you know what? Let me figure something out. I'll figure what I'm going to do. So I had to figure out something else to do, right?
Yep.
And 2017, I bought into a transportation company. That transportation company only had 8 trucks when I bought into it at the end of 2017, beginning 2018. That company grew to 40 trucks, went from 2 million to over $12 million in revenues. We got into the Inc. 5,000 of the 5,000 fastest growing companies in the United States. And that's one of the companies that I currently manage, I own today. Besides that, I still do real estate development, high-end luxury, and that creates my wealth. So I call it, there's different stages in life that you need to have once you get to a certain level, or you kind of need to set up yourself with having multiple streams of income. Number one, my transportation company is the constant cash flow. My real estate development is my wealth creation vehicle. I have my investment fund, which is my passive income vehicle. And we all need to eventually have some passive income. I work very hard for the money that I earn. So it comes time for that money to work hard for me. Even though I don't see the same returns as I will see if I'm doing the work myself, but those are returns that I'm seeing that are passive, that I don't have to worry about, that I don't have to work for it. And last but not least is my calling. One day I decided, I donated money in the past to church, and I given a lot of money, and I realized that it didn't fulfill me quite as me teaching people. So God told me, it's like, what you need to do is you need to teach people. You need to teach people and share with them everything that you have learned in this past 20 years and help them become successful, help them find financial freedom, help them live life to the fullest so they can enjoy their life, they can enjoy their family, just like you do, they can enjoy their wife, and also help them get closer to me or to their God, whoever their God is, right? So that calling came out. And the reason that I like that is because if I were to give you $20,000 today, you're going to be happy for a little bit, but then you're going to go spend that money, right? Maybe you invested, but eventually that money is going to be gone, right?
Right.
But if I teach you how to become successful, nobody could ever take that away from you.
Oh, yeah.
And the most beautiful thing about that is that once you learn that, you could teach that to somebody else. So it keeps going. It carries on a legacy.
Yeah.
That it's such an amazing legacy because it's not about the money, but it's about what can we give to somebody else that nobody could ever take that away from them, and how's that going to impact their life and the life of their loved ones.
That's good. Yeah. So how do you do that? So you talk about your calling, finding that. How do you teach people how to be successful?
Well, number one, I have been doing real estate development for only 20 years, so I'm a little bit of an expert into it.
A little bit,
and
yeah.
I could do it with my eyes closed. So I teach people what I'm good at, and I'm good at number one, development, real estate development. I teach people, how to enjoy life, how to live life to the fullest. So that's the other thing that I teach people: how to live a successful life and how to be a millionaire, a God-made millionaire. Because being a millionaire doesn't necessarily mean that you have millions. It could also mean that you're rich with the Spirit of God. You're rich with your family. You enjoy life, because my definition of happiness is not your definition of happiness. You could be happy sitting at home reading a book every day, and I'm happy going out on my boat and being on the water. But for all those things, we need to be financially free. So I think the most important thing is, getting to the point where we're financially free, that we don't have to worry about money so much, and we could live our childhood dreams and have all the toys and all the things in the life that we always dreamed of.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, that's I'm kind of curious, Edwin, is that how you define success? How does Edwin define what does successful life mean to you?
That exactly, just being able to do whatever you want and accomplish all your childhood dreams. And to me, that's success. I always dream of having this beautiful wife, good looking, hot, from Colombia, and God gave me that exactly same thing. And I didn't even have to go to Colombia to find her, you know, which is
No.
the coolest thing about it. She's a very actually born and raised in Miami.
Yeah.
And you know, I always wanted to have kids. I wanted to have girls. I didn't want to have boys. I only wanted to have girls, and God gave me two beautiful girls. And you know, those were my dreams. I wanted to have a boat. I wanted to be a pilot. I wanted to own a plane. You know, and all those things I have accomplished.
Mhm.
And because once I realized that I need to focus more on my dreams versus being focused on chasing the money, all
Mm.
those things just started coming when they were supposed to come.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So yeah, what's your advice to your 25-year-old self? What would you tell yourself what do you know now that you would tell your 25-year-old self?
I will tell,
Yeah.
good job on everything you have done.
Yeah.
Don't change anything that you have done, because if
Uh,
there's one little thing that I change,
yeah.
my life would not be the same today.
Yeah. How about that? So you wouldn't change a thing. You say just keep
I
going.
would not change a thing.
Man, wow, that's really powerful. That just I could just feel that gratefulness, that a thankfulness that comes off of you that probably feeds your life. That you're thankful for what you got, but it
Yes.
leads to now the more and chasing your dreams. So yeah, Evan, yeah, I'm just kind of, I guess last thing, just kind of really give a plug for, where can my audience find you, and just tell us just more about what you're doing right now.
Okay. I mean, I love, I'm about to have an event in May 20th in
Okay.
Miami. It's going to be an amazing event where I'm doing it with a friend of mine, where we're going to teach people, you know, how to raise capital, how to become successful in all aspects of their life,
Mhm.
and how to live life to the fullest. So it's going to be an
Yeah.
event, a 2-day event. The second day is we're going to go out on my yacht and do a networking, just spend time, have fun. If you want to be part of that event, or if you just want to follow me and ask me any type of questions, I'm the type of person that I'm very reachable. And I learned that only because I'm on a different level than you are, or maybe you're a higher level than me, that doesn't mean that there's no reason that you could reach out to me.
Yeah.
So I'm very reachable. It's through social media, especially
Mhm.
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Send me a message, give me a little bit, I'll reply back to you. Follow me if you like who I am. Follow me if you share the same values that I do.
Mhm.
And at the end of the day, the only thing that I hope is that whatever I said today, at least one of those things will help you in your life to change some part of your life.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well, thank you, Edwin, for coming on. This was amazing, and I'm very appreciative of you for just giving me the time just to interview you, because you're a fascinating guy. So,
Hard. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Great meeting you. Great talking to you.
absolutely, bless you, brother.